Hello everyone, I'm meteorologist Charlie Ironmonger. Thank you so much for joining me today for your noon news and weather update from the First Alert Desk. Now we've got news out of Pitt County where two men who were allegedly involved in the home invasion, the violent home invasion of last week, have now been arrested. Jonathan Garcia Larios and Zaid Maiden were both arrested on Friday. 21-year-old Garcia Larios was first booked into the Franklin County Jail and then transferred to Pitt County on Sunday, while the 21-year-old Mayan of Chapel Hill was booked into the Orange County Detention Center with no bond. Both men have been charged with first-degree burglary, assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill, inflicting serious injury, first-degree kidnapping, and first-degree forcible sex offense. The home invasion happened early Wednesday morning of last week on Lewis Street, which is in the Cherry Oaks neighborhood off of Fire Tower Road. A Pitt County Sheriff's Office investigation report says a victim who was in the home was severely beaten and tied up. Warrants say Garcia Larios and Mayan used an edged weapon to assault the victim. Deputies say evidence from the home invasion was found at an apartment in Chapel Hill. The two are being held without bond, and deputies say ICE detainers have been placed on both suspects, as both are in the country illegally. And now we want to turn to the shutdown, at least partial shutdown of the federal government as Congress debates over funding for the Department of Homeland Security. NBC's Alice Barr has more.
This morning, the reality of another partial government shutdown is settling in after the Department of Homeland Security ran out of funding over the weekend with no deal on reforms to immigration enforcement operations.
We need change that is dramatic, that is bold, that is meaningful.
We have to protect law enforcement.
While negotiators struggle for common ground, ICE and Border Patrol at the center of the dispute are still funded through what President Trump called the Big Beautiful Bill, while critical workers at FEMA, the Coast Guard, and TSA are once again working without pay.
People's lives and livelihoods are being played with here.
Union leader Andrew Cardosa says many TSA agents are still recovering from the last shutdown in the fall that snarled air travel for weeks. He says they can't afford another extended stretch without pay.
For me, eventually, it's going to come down to, do I put gas in the car to go to work for free, or do I put food with that money for my kid?
Democrats argue they have to stand firm in the wake of the shooting deaths of two American citizens by federal officers. They're demanding changes, including a uniform code of conduct for ICE and Border Patrol, judicial warrants before immigration arrests, and no masks on officers.
No police department in America doesn't identify themselves.
What are you going to do, expose their faces so you can intimidate their families? What we want is ICE to be able to do their job.
Congress is out until next week, but could come to vote if there's a deal. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Well, thank you, Alice, for that report. We now turn to your weather forecast, and we've got clouds over the east and winds blowing in. Both of those aspects of your forecast keeping us cooler today than our seasonal average of the upper 50s. Likely going to be looking at the low to mid 50s later on this afternoon. More so on the low side than the high side. But let's take a look at what we've got outside right now through our visible satellite. And we are looking at clouds pretty much from I-95 all the way back towards Highway 12. Everyone, again, is looking at cloudy skies. We have seen some breaks in the cloud cover, though. We have seen some spots of blue. Gonna prove to you that does exist. Here we go. This is a view through our Moorhead City Cam over the Intercoastal Waterway in Carteret County. And there, that is a spot of blue skies over eastern North Carolina right now. Now, obviously, not everyone is seeing the same sort of picture. Looking again at much cloudier conditions further inland, but right now along the coast, we are again seeing some breaks in those clouds. Here's a look at what we've got in Greenville. Pitt Greenville Airport again coming in 46 degrees, northeasterly breeze at 15 miles an hour, and it is gray. That breeze is certainly bringing in the cooler air, keeping it at the mid to upper 40s right now. We've seen very little heating over the past several hours. And that spells trouble for anybody who wants to maybe go out and do a little driving. Make sure you have a jacket on so you can stay a little warm, especially when you factor in the winds. Wind chills are going to be a factor today. Make you feel about 5 to 7 degrees colder than what your thermometers are showing. So winds currently 10 to 20 miles an hour sustained. We do have Beaufort coming at 21 mile an hour sustained wind, as is Kenansville. Most of eastern North Carolina, though, again, falling in that 10 to 15 mile per hour range. Let's take a look, though, at what winds are going to be doing as we head through the next really couple days. This is really going to explain why today is cold and tomorrow and the days following will be warm. Today, northeasterly winds, bringing cold air off of the Atlantic and in from the north. Then we get later on in the evening and those winds will start to calm down. Inland areas, again, seeing single-digit wind speeds by the time we reach around 7 p.m. later on tonight. Now, with winds going calm, it usually means there's a bit of a wind shift that will occur. Early Tuesday morning, winds coming in more out of the south, eventually out of the southwest. This is going to bring in some heat, starting on Tuesday and lasting all the way through Wednesday, Thursday, and potentially even Friday. In fact, we are looking at mostly cloudy skies coming up on Wednesday. But the lack of sunshine will not keep our air temperatures from reaching the 70s. These winds that you're seeing across the east on Wednesday will be enough to carry those air temps all the way into, again, I would say the low 70s. Some areas later on this week are going to be seeing the mid 70s. But for this afternoon, northerly winds sticking with us, so we're not looking at any sort of big warm-up here, despite maybe a little bit more sunshine over the tail end of the day than what we've seen to start the day. But winds calming out of the north is step one in really warming us up. Step two, getting those winds to shift. Step three, getting some sunshine. All of those are happening overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. And then we get to enjoy tomorrow afternoon, low 60s. Going to feel very nice, very comfortable. But if that's not warm enough for you, here's a look at, again, what we've got coming up over the following several days. 52 today, 63 tomorrow, 72 on Wednesday, 73 on Thursday, 76 expected by the time we reach Friday. Now, by the tail end of the week, we will start to see another opportunity for some rain showers to come through. We're not looking at any sort of major system, but with air temperatures getting as warm as they're going to be coming up Friday and Saturday, Saturday's cold front could give us a chance of some thunderstorms around eastern North Carolina. Still too early to determine whether or not we'll see any sort of severe wind gusts with that system, but certainly something we are keeping an eye on. Until then, though, enjoy the warming weather. I know today is not considered warm, but we will be there by tomorrow, and we will certainly be there as we head towards Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, or the tail end of this week. Well, that's all we have time for today's noon news and weather update from the First Alert Desk. I want to thank you all so much for joining me. We'll be back with more news and weather coming up at the top of the hour. Until then, have a fantastic rest of your Monday.